Today I'm going to have a look at the Z or Z370 Pro gaming motherboard. Now this is aimed at the budget segment of the market, but don't be fooled into thinking that because this is budget you're getting a lower quality product, because let me assure you this is not a low quality product. It does use premium components on this and it's pretty much got everything a gamer wants. Alright, there are more features on the ROG and the Strix and the Prime boards, but this has everything you need. In actual fact, I actually have an X299 TUF Mark 1 motherboard for my main video editing rig, and I used to have an X299 Prime Deluxe, and I ended up selling that even though it cost like a couple $100 Australian more than the X299 TUF motherboard. I ended up selling that and going with the TUF because the X299 TUF had a 5-year warranty compared to 3, I think it was. On the Prime, it had military grade, server grade, 24/7 certified. You actually get a certificate with it. Premium grade chokes, capacitors, Mosfets, all that sort of stuff. And to me, that was more important than having addressable RGB, AD wireless and live dash, and they may be valuable to you, but for me they weren't valuable because I wasn't going to make a RGB rig or whatever. And that's where this sort of thing comes in. You're going to get your full gaming experience. You do get those tough components, the military grade tough chokes, tough capacitors, tough Mosfets, built for 24/7 reliability, and it pretty much has everything you need for a gaming motherboard. Alright, it doesn't have RGB, but it supports SLI, and this particular model here doesn't have a M.2 heatsink, which I think the TUF Plus does, but the TUF Plus has RGB on it, but it doesn't support SLI. So I think this is the one to go with if you want a budget board on the 8th generation Z370 platform. So first things first, this is a full ATX motherboard, so you want to make sure your case has the room to fit it. Around the 260-270 mark in Australia, around the 160 mark in the US, and that'll be around the same amount of pounds in the UK as US dollars. Some interesting facts about ASUS: number 1 motherboard manufacturer in the world. I think the last time I looked at the statistic, it was 1 in every 3 motherboards is an ASUS motherboard, something like that. Considering they usually cost a little bit more than the other motherboard manufacturers, that's quite interesting. ASUS usually have around double the amount of RAM certified for the board or qualified for the board than any other motherboard, so that's like double the amount of RAM certified. And usually they don't upgrade their motherboards like every single year, so you are covered for a long time. ASUS motherboards usually have double the amount of BIOS upgrade, so you will be supported longer when you buy an ASUS motherboard. So that's interesting also. Now we'll go on a tour later, but some of the things it has ASUS Opti memory, which basically means carefully routed traces so that it gets less interference in the PCB there. They work out the traces in the optimal positions. This thing has killer audio, I'll get to that later. And that's one thing this motherboard doesn't skimp on, even though it's budget, it does have killer sound there. Nishikon capacitors. You have a reinforced 16 times PCI Express slot, 2 M.2 slots, which is perfect. So ASUS actually said this is for casual gaming at an affordable price, but I disagree with that. I think it's for more than casual gaming. In actual fact, I think this has everything you need for a gamer. If you want more features, go up to the higher grade Strixes or ROG boards, but this has everything you need. So as I said, the audio is really good on this. We're talking Realtek ALC 887 8-channel high definition audio codec. So it has that DTS support in it. So yeah, that will work well with the Fusion headset from ASUS. Premium Nishikon capacitors there. They're pretty much the best in the business. The audio is put away in the corner of the motherboard to protect against interference. So it's going to give you low signal noise there. It actually has dedicated layers for left and right channels. So that will give you the best audio quality and preserves sensitive sounds. So when you combine this with the DTS custom for gaming headsets, that means you should get the separations in the sound. And I can tell you now, like I play PUBG and I just wish I could separate more the sounds of people walking compared to say the plane and the cars that just blow my ears out. So this audio setup should help in that regard. So it has really good audio that you wouldn't expect. Also, ASUS have the best BIOS when you're talking about Q fan control and overclocking. If you don't know about overclocking and you don't want to mess around with fan profiles, the fan control in the BIOS of ASUS products is amazing, because on my X299 TUF motherboard, I just go into the BIOS, I go calibrate the fans, it just calibrates them better than I ever could. It works out the stop point, and my system is super quiet but ramps up when it needs to. That's also for overclocking. If you don't know how to overclock, ASUS has the best automatic overclock utilities, whether you use the software on the PC itself or you go into the BIOS and do it. Super simple, and of course you can dig in if you are familiar with overclocking. So let's go on a tour and have a look. What you'll see has this yellow and black aesthetic. As I said before, no RGB. The only lighting up zone here is this TUF Gaming logo here, so that will light up yellow and black. Whether that's your thing or not, it's actually well done, looks classy. It doesn't look like a budget motherboard, does it? You've got the IO shield here, you have a VRM cooler there, PCH cover here, which is some sort of metal, and this is not the sort of thing you would see on a budget motherboard. You have that audio I was talking about before. The Nishikon capacitors there. I think if you follow that yellow, that's where the audio traces will be going, separate left and right. Premium audio here. So overall, just the look of it, it looks really good. Doesn't look cheap and nasty. You get a lot of bang for buck. As you'll see, it has a cutout here for the SATA ports. They are single layer SATA ports. And you have another couple of SATA ports here. So let's go on a little tour. We have two fan headers here. Of course, the DDR DIMMs, dual channel 4 slots. You have the memory OK button there, and also if you look closely, you have the CPU over voltage headers there. USB 3.1, you have one M.2 socket here, and then you have one down the bottom, and that can fit all sizes, the one down the bottom. Those 4 SATA ports there. You have another fan header, another 2 SATA ports, another USB 3.1, 2 USB 3s, TPM connector, comms port, and the audio port for your front of your case there. You also have an all-in-one pump header here. So you have your all-in-one pump header there, and you have 2 CPU fan headers and 2 chassis fan headers. So you've got plenty of fans there. So as you can see, this board has everything you need. You have 3 16 times physical slots by 16 by 8. I think that is by 2. And you have another 3 by 1s. SLI compatible, so you can run SLI if you need to. That's why this is a gaming motherboard as well. So on the back IO ports, stainless steel it is. A couple of USB 2s, that's for your keyboard, mouse, DVI, HDMI out, USB 3.1s, some more USB 3s, PS2 port, Intel NIC there, and it's actually a good one that's optimized for gaming, and your audio outputs with optical out as well. So let's get to performance. How does this motherboard perform? Well, just know that this motherboard is not going to hold you back at all. You'll be able to get the most out of your hardware without a doubt. You'll be able to overclock your CPU to its maximum potential. VRMs did not overheat at all. I just went into the BIOS, clicked the 5 gigahertz preset, boom, I had 5 gigahertz stable. I think 1.4 something volts. I'll just show it on the screen here, and that was just automatically. Now the CPU would get up to 100 degrees, and I do have probably the best all-in-one cooler connected to it. That is an issue with these 8700Ks. If you want to get up to the 5 gigahertz and maybe more, you really need to delit them. Doesn't matter what motherboard you're using, what cooling you're using. If you want to get up to those sort of speeds, you need to delit it unless you get a good one like Silicon Lottery. So I'll just wrap it up there. I think you'll agree that the ASUS TUF Z370 Pro gaming board has everything you need as a gamer and nothing you don't need. Fantastic motherboard at a great price point, premium components, great audio, SLI support. It's what you want for a gamer. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I'd like to really thank you guys for watching. If you're new around here, why not subscribe? And until next time guys, tally ho.